give a gift because you want to be a giver, first off, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to give? Do you want to pour, invest back into your relationships? And we're not talking about just client gifts.
Yeah.
We're talking about, salespeople, admin,
your
are
own
you expressing
employees and
gratitude and appreciation in your organization? I'm the gifting guy, right?
Wow.
And that's exactly what people can do in roofing and solar and pest and any other home service where you want to meet an agent. That's the way that you're going to get a ton of referrals from agents, is getting known as the guy in the industry.
In what you do.
Guys, our business boot camp is coming up real quick, February 18th and 19th. Get your tickets today. We have limited seating, and I promise you're not gonna wanna miss this. We cap out at 50 owners, and we're already almost to capacity right now. So please go get your tickets. Wanna see you and have a killer 2025.
Awesome. Well, welcome. So I've got here on the podcast today, Eric with Cutting Edge Gifts. We just wrapped up Door-to-Door Con 8. How was the show for you, Eric?
Oh, it was great.
Yeah. Good. It's always good seeing everybody all in one place again, all the excitement, all the energy that's there. Like, I thrive off of that. Business-wise, did you make some good connections while you're there?
Yeah.
Turnout was good?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been sponsoring it since D2D Con 1. And
since the very beginning.
Yeah. And
wow.
this is the first time I'm in like the P League, so I'm in the circle, so I got a chance to meet a lot of the folks that were there even more. So I get to see current clients that come back and say what's up, and met a lot of new people, and it was actually the most successful one that we've got so far.
I love that. I love that. So Eric, why don't you take a second, introduce yourself, your company, what you guys do, and then we'll kind of get into it.
Yeah, absolutely. So Eric Chandler, right? So my company's Cutting Edge Gifts. I started about a decade ago, and we've been working with different businesses, different industries, helping them build relationships and use gifting to hit different business objectives, whether it's more online reviews, referrals, long-term branding, whatever it might be. And express gratitude to their clients or employees or staff. And we're really the turnkey solution, because we've got a fulfillment center. So, and I work with companies on the strategies, and then our team can fulfill it for everybody.
I love that. So you get to even kind of come in and consult and like come up with those ideas and strategies and why they should be doing it, versus just like being an order taker of like, hey, what swag do you have? It's more of like, no, let's purposefully use this for this return on your investment.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. Because I feel like these swag companies, like, nothing against them, but there are many, many of them out there that can put your logo on a thing. But it seems like there's few true experts that can help you to really understand like the value of doing these things and why you should be doing them.
Well, swag is swag,
right?
Swag has its place, right? And it's a big difference between swag and strategic gift giving.
Gifts. Yeah. What is that?
So like even gift giving and swag is different, but strategic gift giving.
Okay.
Right. Strategic gift giving is really getting intentional about, okay, what are we going to give? What's the message? How does our gift make our client feel? All the way down to the implementation of like, when are we going to give the gift? What are we going to say when we're going to give the gift? Right? How
are we delivering this?
Are we going to have it show up on their doorstep as a surprise? Are we going to go back after the final walkthrough and use an opportunity to express gratitude, build some reciprocity, get referral? Like how are we going to implement it to get the best result?
Geez, even just right there, it's so much deeper than just like.
Well, swag is just swag is just like, okay, we got our hats, we got our shirts, and cool. Like that's one thing, and I think a lot of people do mistake swag for a gift. It's like, so many business owners I talk to, like, well, we give our customers a shirt.
Yeah,
like,
they think they are giving a gift, right?
I highly doubt they're going that, they're over the moon, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you did this for me. You gave me a shirt.
Yes.
And it's like, not really
I can't wait to rep your brand at, wherever they go.
Yeah. But hey, do the shirts too. They're like $10-15. Like they very, very low cost. I'm not saying it's a bad thing to give shirts or swag.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, don't mistake swag for gifts for strategic gift giving, and don't think that you're going to get the same kind of result and response from a strategic gift as you will swag, because you won't.
I love that. That's a really good clarification. So as far as like just gift giving in general, like, why give gifts? Like, what is like, so many business owners, like, you're pinching pennies, time's hard, like they would see that as like, well, dude, I already collected money from this customer. I don't want to waste money on, going out the door. I know a lot of business owners that like, I couldn't convince them to spend 20, 30, 50 bucks on a client, even though they have high ticket items that these clients, they're making several thousands of dollars on transactions.
Yeah.
So why give gifts?
Well, that's exactly it, right? Like people aren't really thinking about the lifetime value of the client and all the business that's still to be had with that relationship. And so they're very transactional, one and done, and that's it, versus like, hey, what's the long-term benefit of building a relationship where these people know my name for years and years and years?
Yeah.
When they need my service again, or conversation comes up when I'm not around, is my name getting mentioned? Am I top of mind?
Yeah.
Right. And so why give a gift? Well, first off, like I was just giving a workshop the other day, and I said, give a gift because you want to be a giver. First off, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to give? Do you want to pour, invest back into your relationships? And we're not talking about just client gifts.
Yeah.
We're talking about, salespeople, admin,
your
are
own
you expressing
employees and
gratitude
stuff.
and appreciation in
Interesting.
your organization? And does it permeate through all the relationships from referral partners and employees and salespeople and clients? And you know what I mean? Like, so that's step one. If you're not a giver, then you might be giving for the wrong reasons. Don't give with an open hand. Like, hey, I'm going to give you this so that I get that.
Yeah.
That will end up being the result. Like, the more that you give, the more that you'll get.
But you don't need to say that directly up front. Like, I'm going to give you this if you give me 3 referrals.
Right. Well, that's more like a buy now strategy, not a gift.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, you sign up today, you get this. Like, this is the gift we give.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, that's not a gift. That's a buy now incentive.
Yeah. And that's not necessarily the business you are in. Like you can create those products and come up with those cool things, but like it sounds like your strategy is much, much deeper on nurturing a relationship, right?
Well, you could certainly do a buy now incentive, because there is a place for that, and those do work. But I don't want that to be confused with, that's like negotiated in the deal. You're meeting their expectations. It's kind of like, if you do this, I give you that. Now you're meeting their expectations, and you have a satisfied client. Yeah. Right. You get raving fans when you exceed their expectations, and so I am a big fan of like, if you want to use that, that's fine, but also have that gift in the back pocket that you're going to give them that they don't know about, that is a surprise, that does exceed their expectations. And that's where you start to really see the ROI on gift giving.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So if this is, you've been supporting Door-to-Door Con since the very beginning, you've been doing this a while. Like, how long have you been going on your gift giving, on your business, and what led to this idea? How did this come about?
Yeah. So, started in college selling Cutco knives residentially. Yeah. It's funny. I have a twin brother. Okay. And, as kids, we were always selling things. And I looking back, I'm kind of like, actually, I was a born salesman, I think, because, we didn't really come from much. Yeah. And, I wasn't getting any money from my parents. So if I wanted a water gun, if I wanted anything,
you had to hustle for it.
Yeah, I had to hustle for it. And so, a couple of ideas we had, we'd literally go door to door. Right before I even knew there was a door-to-door industry, and we were just knocking like, "Hey, that car is dirty. Let's go see if they want us to wash
this,
it,
and you'll give me $5."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was even just like, "Hey, we'll wash your car for money," and they're like, "How much do you want?" We're like, "I don't know. How much would you give us?
Dollars? Give me money?"
Yeah. And she gave us 20. We were over the moon, and
You're like, holy cow.
That, and I would sell candy, I would sell cards, I would make drawings, I would sell those. This is like middle school, elementary school. Yeah. But no, I actually, my twin brother, I wrestled in college at UNC Greensboro, and he was driving up with me on a break, and he was doing door-to-door canvassing, setting leads for a construction company. Okay. And he's like, "Eric, I'm rusty, man. I'm about to get back on the doors. I need to get the cobwebs off." And so we had a 12-hour drive. For half of that drive, we were just role playing. Yeah. And he can walk circles around me in a conversation, and that's when I realized, like, his communication skills are better than mine. This is my twin brother, right? Yeah. And so I was like, "Dang, man, I need to get in something where I get better communication skills." I was working as a sous chef in a restaurant, and Cutco called me. And my friend was recruiting me there, or he referred me there. I was like, I already got a job. And then I thought, oh, wait, this is sales. Hey, I can get some experience. Yeah. So I started selling Cutco residentially. I went through their program. I ran a branch office. We recruited 63 sales reps in a 3-month period. Wow. Yeah, I had one of the top performing offices in our division.
That's huge.
And then I was getting ready to graduate. And I was like, am I going to get a real job, or am I going to sell knives forever?
I love how we always like, this sales job is just a side gig. Like, it's not a real job, but you were probably doing phenomenally well with it. If you had that many reps going. And,
well, initially it was just like, well, I'm in college. I want to get some experience so that when I get out of college, like, I can get a good job, and, Yep. And I found that there was a big opportunity in the real estate space to start giving gifts because it was already in their culture to give a closing gift. They sell a home.
Yep, that's
they give
pretty
a gift.
standard in the industry.
Pretty standard, yeah. 75% of agents give some type of gift after a transaction.
Yeah.
The thing was that most of them, the biggest challenge that real estate agents face when it comes to repeat business is that most people like their agent. 80% of people were like, "Oh, I love my real estate agent. I would totally
I'm gonna go with them whether they give me a gift or not."
Yeah. And what happened was 12% of people did use their real estate agent again. This is NAR does a study every couple of years. So it was like, why was this big integrity gap where most people would, but very few did?
Yeah.
And they found that they just didn't remember their name. So they'd be like, oh, that blonde lady, she did such a great job.
Yeah.
What was her name?
Out of sight, out of mind type
Boom.
of thing.
Yeah, she wasn't top of mind.
Yeah.
Right? So forgot. They didn't have her contact information.
And then here's another agent, like, cool. That I'll just go with them because they're right here now.
Yeah. Or they would just look on Google or whatever. They just didn't have that their contact info for one reason or another. And that was the biggest reason. And so most of the agents that would give gifts, they were doing these big gift baskets or bottles of wine or gift cards or whatever. And Cutco being guaranteed forever, it's world-class cutlery, guaranteed forever, made in America.
Yeah.
And so we basically just took what they were already spending on these consumable gifts, and I would go to real estate offices. I probably did over 900 of these speaking engagements at their offices over a series of years.
Yeah.
And I do about 100 to 150 of them a year. And basically we would take that money they were already using on consumable gifts and engrave their name and number and logo. This is very basic, but it worked for them.
Yeah.
On a Cutco knife, which is in the kitchen where everybody hangs out.
Gonna last forever.
It's gonna last forever. Right?
And nobody's gonna throw that gift away. Like it doesn't matter that it doesn't like match the rest of their knife set or anything like that. Like you're not throwing something that valuable away.
Yeah, and what happens is when you give the Cutco knife, a lot of times it's better than everything they have. So it's the only knife they ever use.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is even better for the business owner, for the real estate agent in this situation where now instead of giving something that's gone and consumed and forgotten, they're giving something that's loved and used every day for a lifetime with their information on it. And I can't tell you how many agents have called me especially when they place the reorders.
Yeah.
I've had people that have done it for a decade now. So I started that about 10 years ago.
That's cool.
And I just talked to Kenneth Barefoot with Caldwell Banker in Fayetteville the other day, and he was like, yeah, man, the knives, bro, they've paid for themselves 10 times over. Yeah. I still get calls today. We're like, man, I still love that knife, man, that you gave me.
What's like the most popular knife that, like, if you're going to give one gift of a knife, Cutco, what's the model? I'd
say the 7-inch Santoku or the 5-inch Santoku. It's a chopping knife. So I did in-home sales for 2 years.
Yep.
Thousands of presentations.
Yep.
Going through our entire product line, figuring out what do people use, and I build them custom sets. And so, when we're picking out a knife, we're like, hey, what's going to be engraved well, but also be very useful, right? And so most people have a big block set, but they're picking up one or two that they use.
Yep.
And so we pick out one of those two. It's usually a utility knife.
Yep.
People naturally gravitate towards that, or it's a chopping knife.
Yeah.
People naturally gravitate towards that. So those are usually the two best options. Obviously, it depends on budget. Some people,
sure. Yeah, like what's like average for those knives engraved? What's the cost there?
Most of our gifts are anywhere from $50 to $250.
Yeah.
Most people are spending $100 to $200.
Yeah. And you find that that's an appropriate range for. Obviously, a real estate agent, their average transaction, they're getting, 3% of that transaction.
Yeah,
price.
so real estate agents get $5 to $15 plus $30,000 on a commission. You think about a lot of the higher ticket sales and door to door.
Solar, for example. Yeah, if I'm a solar rep and I come to your workshop and I hear you talking about the value of gifts, and I'm like, holy cow, this guy's right. I need to start setting aside some funds for that. Like, is there a percentage amount that you would say, like, you should allocate X percent of your transaction, of your commission?
Yeah.
Or is it just as simple as like, no, dude, like $50 to $250, like you're gonna. That
falls within line. $50 to $250, you can probably get something. Obviously, the more we can have a little more room to work with. We usually say, we don't look at it as just, hey, what's a percentage for just the gift? We say, how much are we reinvesting back into our customer relationships every year?
Really, it's like a marketing budget, right?
Right.
Like
so we say like 1% to 5%.
Yeah.
And that would consist of a gift, maybe an annual party, any other things that you're doing throughout the year to stay in touch.
Yeah.
Right. And with solar, if I was doing a workshop for solar, I got a whole thing on solar because, over 8 years,
you've seen
my craft has gotten a lot better because I've been able to work with folks and learn their industries, learn roofing, learn solar, learn pest, learn these other industries, and where we get the return. And for solar, we found that a big opportunity where they get a quick ROI is reducing cancellations.
Oh, for sure.
Right? You talk
so
to,
like as soon as they sign a customer up, like, you know, the next day hit them with a gift. Is that kind of...
Well, there's a couple different strategies you can use. So we've got something called a campaign program where we can do several gifts from close to install that drop at different points.
Oh, interesting.
That's one thing that we can kind of automatically set it up.
Yeah.
But what we found, if you're going to do one gift, doing a knife that says like cutting your electric bill.
Oh, I love that.
Right. And then you can either do it as a button up, because think about it, you close the sale, you leave the home. What all happens with the homeowners?
I mean, they start Googling, they like go get other bids.
You know, they start talking to each other about it right away. And so one strategy would be to do a kind of like you leave.
Yeah.
Right. They start talking about the decision they just made to go solar. Right. So you go back and you knock on the door. Hey, I almost forgot to give you this.
So like even just like 10 minutes later, or, you know,
I would even like just a couple minutes later, you go to your car and you whip out a Cutco knife, you go back, knock on the door as a comeback. Yeah. Hey, I want to give you this. It's Cutco. It's guaranteed forever. It's super high quality.
Love that.
Put my name and number on it. If you have any issues between now and your installation, just give me a call. Want to make sure you have a world-class experience. And if you ever need us, we're always in your kitchen.
Oh man, that pull-through rate is going to be so much higher, because like even just the differentiation of like a sales rep going to his car, grabbing a gift, coming back, like everybody's been pitched in their home before. At this point, like everybody's been pitched solar, and having that sort of experience, like that homeowner's like, this guy's different. If he's this, like, you know, caring about me, he's going to make sure my project goes well. He's going to make sure, you know, like my system's going to continue to work in the future. Like that just really adds so much credibility to you as a sales rep. If that's the type of person you are.
Yeah.
Right?
And really the best is about a week to 2 after the close.
Okay.
That's when we find you get like, actually one of my clients did this. He got 1,000 gifts, gave them out, and we tested different points of giving it out right after the sale, after the install, a week or two after, and a week or two after, they actually saw their cancellation rates go down. And then you don't need a big boost in your reduction in your cancellation rates to make this worth it.
Yeah.
You reduce your cancellations by 5%. You know, that's a huge increase in your bottom line.
Yeah,
you know,
definitely.
So when you talk about the cost of the gift, it's really a drop in the bucket considering what it could really do for your bottom line if it's implemented properly.
Yeah, I like that. And I like that you even hit on the implementation side of it, because like for sure it could just be a waste of money if you're not having the right delivery, the right conversations with the homeowner. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you talked about like, you know, a client buying 1,000 knives. And it just makes me think like, okay, if I'm a new rep, I don't really have the funds to buy 1,000 knives. Is it something that I can just buy like a couple at a time from you? Or do I have to make like a bulk purchase like that? Like, can I get into this gift giving with, you know, minimal budget? What does that look like?
So, you know, we tailor the gifting strategy to each company.
Okay.
Right. Because everybody has a different, you know, giving threshold. Some people,
budget,
different budget, different, you know, average price of the job, you know, there's different levels, but you don't have to buy 1,000.
Okay.
You know, typically what we do is we come up with an annual strategy when we say, you know, how many deals would you do this year? So I've worked with individual sales reps. And so if you're a newer sales rep, maybe you're 20 or 30, right, for the year.
Yeah.
And then we talk about how you want it to be implemented. Do you want to have this on hand to go and personally deliver yourself? Or do you want us to take care of the logistics and drop ship it for you?
Yeah.
Right. And so, and then ultimately we bill cash flow for them and over 6 or 12 months interest free.
Okay.
So if somebody was like, hey, Eric, you know, I'm going to use 100 gifts. Cool. We'll get them 100 gifts either stocked on hand, or we do free in-house inventory management.
Oh, cool.
And
that's a huge service. That's awesome.
Yeah. And then we'll just build them over the course of the year.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and that way they access bigger bulk discounts, but it's really on an individual basis. Bigger companies are buying larger volumes.
Yeah.
Smaller, you know, individual reps are buying less.
Yeah, but I like that it's accessible even for the individual reps, because like, you know, if you want to be a top rep in your company and your company doesn't care about giving gifts, like you should absolutely care. These are your clients. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
oh my gosh.
You're gonna get the referrals. You're gonna be top of mind.
Yeah.
Instead of just the company you work for.
Absolutely. And I've heard reps tell me like they got referred into areas that they would have never gone and knocked because the houses were so spread apart.
Yeah.
You know, I've heard people tell me like, oh, this customer called me and he said, he's like, hey man, somebody was trying to come behind you and undercut your deal, but you gave me that knife. I know you guys are gonna do a great job, so I couldn't sell you out. So it saved a deal. And I've got a ton of different stories like that. You just people don't realize what will happen when you actually start to do some of these gifting strategies. Yeah.
I love that. So you spoke at Door to Door Con, you gave a workshop and trained on some of these things. What are some of those key points that, you know, if those listening did not get to attend that, they can get some of those nuggets from what you taught?
Oh man, you know, I had a lot of people come up to me after the workshop, and I think the biggest thing was really on the referral part. You know, gifting is just one part of what I do, right? But ultimately, like when somebody works with me, I'm going to make sure that they're going to get a massive ROI. And some of that is the gifting strategy, but some of that is like, what's the strategy on getting referrals, right? And so many people, when you ask them like, okay, how do you ask for referrals?
Yeah.
Like,
and they're
what
like,
do you think they
I
say?
just say, hey, do you have any referrals? I would love to work with your neighbors. Does anybody come to mind? You know, like, most people are pretty awkward on how they go about asking for referrals.
Right.
They don't really have a pre-thought plan.
Right, exactly. And so just like we have a process that we take them down, a sales process we take people down, we have a referral process we take people down. And so I always look at getting referrals as the second sale in every sale, where you got to sell them on the product, and you sell them on giving you referrals. And a lot of people think it's about the reward. Hey, we're going to give you $500 for every referral that converts, and this and that. And yeah, those can work, I'm sure. But believe it or not, you get a much better response and way more referrals getting the customer tied into your personal success.
Oh, interesting.
And helping
like they're rooting for you versus just like for themselves to get $500, you know?
Yeah, and that works too. But and there's
the right combination of both, right?
Yeah, there's a really good book called Drive by Daniel Pink, and it talks about what motivates people to take action. Yeah. Right. And there's intrinsic motivations, extrinsic motivators, and believe it or not, people want to help people naturally. Yeah. Especially if they like you, they trust you, they get along with you. You have goals, you have ambitions, and you can help them see themselves in you. Yes. And relate to you on some level, and then you share your goal with them and show them how they can help you get there. Yeah. And this process, that was like, it's a 7-step process that I went over in the workshop to basically get 5 to 10 recommendations per sale. Wow. Yeah. That's huge. To not have to continuously go knock doors and just continue to fill the top of the funnel. Like, don't ever stop doing that. But also, if you can be getting 5+ referrals from these customers because they had a great experience with you and they are rooting for you and your success, that's incredible. Yeah. Well, you know, I look at it as so there's the initial active referrals, right? Passive referrals versus active referrals. Okay. Active referrals is like, okay, cool, right now on the spot. Okay. After the sale or after the job is built, like getting a list of people that we can call on. Yeah. Qualifying those people. There's a whole thing that I went over in the workshop, and then there is a passive referrals where, you know, the gift that's used every day that keeps you top of mind. There's ongoing communication. Even a simple text, you can do a mass text to all your customers before Thanksgiving. Hey, I was looking at what I was grateful for this year and you came to mind. I just want to say thank you and hope you enjoy the holidays with your friends and family. Something simple like that. And you just do a couple of those nice, appreciative touch points throughout the year just to stay top of mind. You start pairing that with the gift and then doing a great quality job and being a professional, somebody that is referable. And then you have an annual event, for example, where you can, this is for people that are building a local brand, right? I mean, there are storm chasers. It's a little harder to maintain, but you can still maintain the relationships in those areas. Yeah. Because if there was a storm now, there could be a storm next year. I mean, if you're in Denver, right, or Dallas or these storm markets, like there is going to be, with the exception of a few of these past years in Denver, but like there is going to be a few storms a year. Like it's going to continue to happen in your market. So why wouldn't you build up? And you brand, already did their roof. Now you see a storm came through. Sure, you can go knock that area, but I don't know how many people, I would like to know how many people are actually leveraging their current database to go and retarget the people that they already served when they seen a storm came through the area. Storm came through. Right. You can start calling them, you can start texting them, and it's not just like you don't talk to them forever and all of a sudden you see a storm and like, hey, we helped you, we saw it. You can do that and you'll probably still get some return on it. But are you keeping the relationship alive when they don't need you and communicating gratitude and appreciation and staying in touch and doing these things when they don't need you so that you're memorable, you're top of mind when they do need you. You know what I mean? Yeah, that totally makes sense. So the Cutco knife, like, honestly, that sounds like such a phenomenal gift because, again, like it's not going to get thrown away, lifetime guarantee, those sort of things. And I love to cook. I'm cooking constantly, and I love knives. Like it's my chef knife collection is pretty large, and so I think that's such an incredible gift. Is that pretty much like the only gift you guys do, or like no?
What's some other bangers that you've like find work really well that the same sort of thing that's not going to get thrown away?
Yeah, so I would say that there's, 4 main key points when it comes to like the physical item. You're talking about the physical item.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of different elements to the gifting process. It's not just like what you give.
Well, and that's what I love about your business, because like the process, like I know, I would, as a client, I would need your help in that. Like I hear this, I'm converted. I'm like, yes, I got to give gifts. Okay, cool. Do I just go down to Walmart and look on the shelves and find something, and then even if I have the right item, like obviously there's way more strategy and implementation behind it, but like, is knives all you do?
No. So we've got, cutting boards, grill sets, we've done low ticket items, we've done higher ticket items. We can curate products.
Yeah.
I've got suppliers, a ton of suppliers. So I can always come up with, packaging and different things I can work with people on if they need to. But what we find is that as far as the physical gift, is it best in class? Because you don't want to give a low quality product. You're a reflection of the gift that you give.
I don't want this to be the cheap Chinese knife.
Yeah. You don't want to give something that's kind of like, oh, great, like a keychain,
Or like one of those terrible Bluetooth speakers that everyone gives out there. You're like, I don't even want to connect that to my phone. Like, it's probably going to somehow give my phone a virus or something.
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would say is if you're doing something, it's better than doing nothing.
Oh, true.
Okay. So, hey, there is
kudos to moving in the right direction.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna ever bash anybody for trying to appreciate their people. Yeah. But is it best in class? Right? Is it useful? Like, is it gonna be picked up and used often, or is it gonna be gone and consumed?
Yeah. Okay.
Right? Like eaten or drank or spent or gone and right?
Like a gift card, right? Like it's gonna be consumed. Yeah.
So is it best in class? Is it useful? Does it last a long time? Okay. And can it be customized or branded? You can put their name on it. You can put your branding on it. You can put a special message on it, right? That's as far as the physical item, like look at it and see, does it check these boxes? And if it does, it could probably qualify. And so I get that question all the time. But what about what are the knives and cutting? Why do we do knives and cutting boards? Because we know it works. I've done,
ROI.
We ship literally 50 tons worth of gifts of a year, right?
Geez, yeah.
And over the last decade, we've kind of figured out, we've tested different things, but those definitely work. Plus, they hit those points. So are they gonna be the perfect gift for every single person? No, but they're being a dang good gift for most.
I think it's really cool to see how you started as just selling Cutco knives and how that has converted even just your Cutco business into like a service and a business of consulting and gift giving and everything, like your whole knowledge base that has now grown around this all started from you saying cool, I'm a sous chef. I like these knives. Let's check these out, and starting down that path of sales. That's it's cool to see that evolution.
Yeah, and so I went through the Cutco process. The rest of that story is high level, big picture. Started saying, okay, well, I started selling them to real estate agents. Yeah, did that for a year or so, and then the realtors were like, hey, what else you got? Right? Exactly. You only got Cutco. Well, so I said, okay, well, what makes it so a strategic gift? So we started thinking about different things. Okay, drinkware. Yeah. This is before drinkware was the
thing.
Drinkware now is just like
Stanley
a promo.
Cup or
exactly. Yeah. So we started coming out with drinkware and cutting boards, and I started sourcing different products, and then before I knew it, I'm like, man, I'm selling a lot of this other stuff, and everybody's calling me the knife guy. And so I rebranded and created Cutting Edge Gifts.
I like that.
And then at that point, I was still kind of just outsourcing my fulfillment, and I was running into a lot of quality control issues, delivery issues, and I just could not stand being in a position where my customer's calling me, asking me where their order is, and I'm being able to answer my person, and they're not answering my call. And I was like, this is inhibiting me from being a world-class service provider for my customer. And I
need to be the best, and you're stopping me from being the best.
Basically, I got a 300-pound industrial engraving machine, and I put it in my townhouse.
Wow.
And I had this one room just full of cutting boards and other products we were selling.
So you start receiving all the product at your place to engrave it yourself.
I mean, I don't know how the HOA didn't call us out on it, because we had 18-wheelers dropping off pallets of cutting boards.
Yeah, your neighbors are like, oh, dude, what is he doing?
Nobody ever called me out. But I built a fire pit in the front of my house just so I could burn all the pallets and get rid of them.
No way.
Yeah. This is like a townhouse community. This isn't neighbor. Yeah. And that's I think my neighbors were probably like, they're renters.
Yeah, exactly. Because no homeowner would do all that.
No homeowner is going to trash their house like this. And then, and then it just kind of grew from there. And it was like, I was literally waking up at 5 a.m., doing the proofing myself. I had a buddy that had a multi-million-dollar engraving company. I had him come out and get it set up. I was doing the proofing in the morning. I'd go out and sell the jobs, and then I'd come back and work with my brother to engrave the jobs and sell and send them out. And then I went to Business Mastery, Tony Robbins, and he said, you got to innovate and provide more value than anybody in your industry, and own your industry. And so that's when I started coming out with these different campaign programs where it's like, okay, well, what's the ultimate goal? Right? Is it just like this one-time gift that does this? Yeah, that's great. But what's even better is, okay, you do that gift and then we send a gift 3 months later, or 1 year, or 2 year, and staying in touch and generating positive inbound calls to get those referrals and just building those relationships, automating it. I realized that was a big thing too. A lot of people want to give gifts. They know they want to give gifts. They know they'll benefit from giving gifts, but they're just so doggone busy.
Taking the time aside to even do it. Yeah.
They're not, they're like, I'll get to it at some point. And when you look at your to-do list and, you put it in order, gifting is going to drop to the bottom every time. And so it never gets done. And so, we started to, I basically started to do all the fulfillment, and then we just kind of continued to grow. And
that's amazing.
And then learn the industry, and then learn these strategies. Because who I was at D2D Con 1 is not who I am today.
Yeah, I would imagine it just keeps evolving and innovating every year.
Yeah, well, when I first started, I'm like, door to door. So like, don't they sell vacuums?
Yeah.
That was my idea. I had no clue. This is like an amazing industry with so many different opportunities, and so much income that people are making, and there was so much to it, so much more than I knew. And that was like my biggest event in a day from D2D Con 1. And I was like, oh, there's something here. Wow. And then just by working in the industry, doing more industry events, getting more clients, working with people over the last, 8 years, we've just kind of got better and better, and we just continue to improve,
Yeah. Something that you kind of mentioned that just like stood out to me that I love. And I feel like, any young hustler, entrepreneur, anyone out there who wants to do their own thing, like can learn from these lessons. But it's, you mentioned that when you got your engraving stuff, you called in your buddy who was an expert. Like he ran his own like big, huge, super successful engraving thing. You called him in, he helped you. And then you talked about Tony Robbins. There's another investment on your own personal development, education, things like that. Like I know just from that, and just from talking to you, obviously personal development is something important to you. How has that helped lead to your success that you've had?
Massively.
Yeah.
Right? Massively.
Well, and even being part of like the P League and everything, like Sam Taggart's stuff, everything he's got going on, like that's not cheap, bro. Like why do you do that stuff?
Because you gotta grow.
Yeah.
You gotta grow. You gotta put yourself around people that are thinking bigger than you.
Yeah.
And
has that given you a return on your investment? Like, do you believe that has contributed to some of your success, or is it just like fun? Like I don't know. It's interesting the perspective some people have on it. Like I'm a big believer in the personal development.
No, it's all me, man.
Yeah, right.
It's all me. Nobody teaches me anything.
Well, and so many people like, yeah, dude. There's so many people who are crushing, and even just like doing this podcast with you, like, dude, it's inspirational to me, right? Like being around another high level person, hearing your story, like. People who don't consume this stuff and don't listen to this, like they're really, in my opinion, missing out. But do you have any like of these direct things where you're like, yeah, Tony Robbins, like everybody knows Tony Robbins.
Yeah.
Like,
well, so absolute, without a doubt, I've spent multiple six figures on my personal growth and development.
Well, and you even talk about books.
Books and reading. And that's my thing this year is I'm just going to go like even heavier. I'm going to listen to and read as many books on referral getting and gift giving, and even continue to perfect my craft through what I do.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, absolutely, because as you grow as an individual, right, then your capacity grows as a leader, as a contributor, as a giver. And so I've got to constantly be growing. And there was a couple of years that I pulled back from investing in myself. Yeah. And those were the years that I was stagnant.
Interesting.
Those are the years that my business didn't grow. My income didn't grow. Yeah. Right. I wasn't, my circle of influence was, not where it was before, right? Yeah. And, I went to the inner circle, by the way. Anybody listen to this, I definitely highly recommend if you can get into the circle, get into the circle. Yeah. But even just, I wasn't in a mastermind. I was talking to Sam, and honestly, like, I joined the P League to connect and work and serve. Sure. But I was also like, I don't have a mastermind. I need to be around this, another group that's going to make me think bigger, call me to a higher standard, and help expand the vision for myself. But to give you an example, I remember at first, before I had anything, remember my family was poor. Yeah. When I left to go to college, they were living in a homeless shelter. Wow. Yeah. And through the creation and building.
I mean, everyone says like, I grew up poor, but like a homeless shelter.
Yeah. Like literally. Yeah. I remember going back. My mom had cancer, living in a homeless shelter one time. And I'm like, my breaks coming back, I would like drive her to the hospital and stuff like that. And at first, my success, like many of us, is just like, I want to make a lot of money so that I can take care of myself.
Like
I want to have a good car. I want to have a nice house. I want to have a nice watch, and it's all about me. And you can only find there's only so much power in being self-serving.
Yep.
And so I shifted from personal development, learning that, hey, life's not just about serving myself. It's about serving others. And so I kind of said, you know what, like, I'm good at this point. I'm going to help my family.
Yeah.
And I'm going to up-level my family on a generational level. And so now I'm not just trying to help me. I'm like, I got all these other people now they need to serve and help. And so like my family actually works with me in the engraving company. Yeah. Now they went from homeless to homeowners through the company. And it was all inspired through an event that I went through. I was like, hey, it's about serving others, you know? And so,
it gives me the chills. Like, I freaking love that, because like, yeah, that becomes the why, like that impact you can have, and like you're taking care of those people around you. And obviously you start with like your closest people, you start with your family. Like, this thing changed your life. Now you're changing theirs. You know, any other employees that come on board and things, like, you have this opportunity to continue to bless and have an impact.
Yeah. And, you know, internally with our team, I'm like, okay, my family's good.
Yeah.
We have now people that are not family that are working with us, right? And it's like, how do I create an abundant environment where they're passionate about what they're doing? They like the work that they do with us kind of gives a little more purpose. They're connected, right? And they're feeling good and they're growing themselves, right? And so, you know, that's one example of just like investing in myself, me growing, and then having these realizations. Because that's when I really started to hit another level, is when I stopped focusing on me and started focusing on like others, right? Helping people, and then also like helping people help other people, right? And so
that's beautiful.
I consider myself an opportunity creator, internally, like through our organization. I want to help people create opportunities so that people have the opportunity to earn an income for themselves and provide for their friends and family. Yeah. Right. And then it's just a trickling effect. And, you know, we're a really small company. Yeah. But, you know, as we grow, that's always something that I'm looking at.
I mean, you say you're a really small company, but like, you know, you are successful. You've been operating for 10 plus years, you know, doing what you're doing. Today, I mean, if you don't mind sharing, even just like gross revenue, or like how many companies that you work with that are like your regular clients, like just to get an idea, because I bet what you think is small is much greater than what most of us think is small.
Well, it always goes back to the relativity, right? And so I can sit here and go, I say that I'm small, you're right. I say that I'm small.
You talked about how many tons of product you shipped. Yeah. And I'm like, anything, I mean, a ton is 2,000 pounds.
Well, you know, when you're in the circle and people are doing, you know, $50 million, $100 million, you know, like that's why you're in groups like that, because it keeps you humble, and it realizes that, hey, there's levels to the game. And so I might consider myself small. And the moment that I start thinking like, I'm the best, I'm the biggest, there is no more for me, there will be no more for me. And I will stop growing, you know? And so,
that's a cool perspective.
So we have 54,000 people in the database. Of 5,700 customers.
That's awesome.
They're not all active.
Sure, of course.
You know, there's a couple thousand that are actively ordering, and not everybody orders every year. Some people like order for 2 years. But the idea is
people's careers change, and
they shift. Things, you know, they're in, they're out. And so.
But the fact that even you've been doing it long enough to have that many like database customers that you can even ping. You know?
And you know what's funny is like, so I would say out of that, I would say there's about 12 to 15,000 that are my personally generated leads. And we never bought leads. We never did any online things. The way that I would generate leads is I would go into real estate offices. By the way,
like you just walk in, like
so I would call real estate offices. So this would be great for anybody that, you know, there's some people that, hey, I want to work with realtors because they're a great referral source.
100%.
Oh man, I could do a whole workshop on just that,
bro.
Because
do an online course. It costs $500 for anyone listening. He's got how to work with real estate agents.
If you're here, hit me up.
I'll partner up with you on that. We'll build it out.
But basically I would call on real estate offices. So they all have real estate meetings, sales meetings, just like anything else. And I would go and I would start to, I would bring breakfast and I would speak to groups of realtors.
You're giving value first.
Well, that was my end. Hey, so it's we don't get to get into the details of it, but it's basically just know that most real estate offices have a regular meeting, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, and they usually have a service, a vendor that comes in
and sponsors it. Basically.
Now they are very selective sometimes with who, because they want high attendance to their meetings, and if they're bringing in people that are putting their agents to sleep, taking 30 minutes and thinking, it's like, so I keep my presentation to 5 to 7 minutes, no more. It's engaging, it's fun.
I was gonna say, you bring energy. Like I can't imagine anybody being like, Eric does not put somebody to sleep. Like the way that you just communicate, you're there, like, I'm like, bro, I'm awake. I don't even need this coffee anymore talking with you. I love the energy that you bring. So I'd
awesome.
imagine like you pitching these real estate agents, like they're like, dude, what's this guy? Yeah, I want to do what he's saying. Yeah.
A good portion of it, if you just call, hey, we work with, we do this, and this, and there's a value add. So like they're gonna let you in if you can show them how you coming in and teaching something and bringing value to their office, they'll have you in.
So it's not just about what you want from them.
It's not just about what you want from them. Hey, I want to come and present to your office so I can get all these deals.
You could refer so many people to me and I will give you money.
No, it's not that. It's about how am I going to help your agents look better to their clients?
Yes.
How am I going to add value to your office so that your agents are more educated to better serve your clients?
Yep.
How am I, right?
Yep.
And so like when you come from that perspective, they're like, oh, great, this is a value giver. He's not just coming to take, he's going to come and bring value. And then you show up as a professional, you know what you're talking about, and then obviously it's like, hey, look, I'm going to bring everybody breakfast. I'm going to speak for 5 to 7 minutes and people are going to love it. And, so I would get through a power of association. So I would get into a couple. Let's say I was going to do Keller Williams.
Okay.
Right. And then I would research all the other Keller Williams in the area.
Yeah.
Okay. And I just got to get into one.
Yeah.
If I can get into
that
first one. And then I take that list of all the other Keller Williams and I research who's the broker in charge, who's the office manager. I crush that first one. Then I go to that broker in charge who knows all the other offices at Keller Williams. And I go, hey, did you think we did a good job?
Yeah.
Hey,
like, was that valuable for your agents?
And I would share my success. Hey, we had 3 people sign up. 75% of the room said they were interested in talking to me. I've got one-on-one set with this agent, this agent, this agent. They're like, oh, wow, this was a success. The agents were receptive to him. And I say, I'd love to do this at all the other KWs. Who on this list do you know that I can use your name as a referral? Highlight it. And I give them a highlighter and they go, oh yeah, I know John, I know. So now, after I got on that first one, I'm calling all the other ones going, yeah, we were out to visit, Susie's office over here at 123 Sesame Street. And we did this, and this. Their agents loved it. And they said that you also have sponsors at your meetings and I'd love to come out and do yours. That's an easy in. And then you just do that with every company. And then I did that over North and South Carolina. And so literally over 1,000 of these meetings. And that's how I got 15,000 people in the contact base. So not all of them are clients.
Sure.
But there's a lot of prospects in there and those are still nurtured. And then after doing that for so long, it wasn't just office meetings. I was joining their associations. I was sponsoring other big events that they have in the industry, sponsoring their national events, their regional events, whatever I could. And then eventually you just get known as the person in this industry. And that's the gifting guy in real estate. In North Carolina, I'm the gifting guy, right?
Wow.
And that's exactly what people can do in roofing and solar and pest and any other home service where you want to meet an agent. That's the way that you're going to get a ton of referrals from agents is getting known as the guy in the industry.
In what you do.
Yes.
I love that. This is like a master class in like building your network, right?
Yeah,
like,
that's all it is.
The way that you're talking about it. And like, who taught you this? Like, did you just figure this out? You just went out and hustled and like...
No, there's a couple Cutco people that were kind of doing it a little bit and I learned from them some. A lot was just learning on my own. And once you get it, you just kind of rinse and repeat. I know a lot of people that I've talked to, they're like, yeah, we want to get referrals from agents. And they're like, they think that they're just going to go and do one meeting and then ask and run this. And then they're going to start getting all these referrals. And it's like, no, this is more like, if I would say like create a position within an organization that says, this is the real estate rep. This is the guy in our organization that's going to get us known with every single real estate brokerage in our area. And then that person is just focusing on building relationships with realtors. And then eventually they just start getting referrals. They're doing one-on-ones with realtors. They're following up. They're going doing these meetings. They're doing they're bringing value. They're presenting. They're teaching. They're educating. And then they're seen as the authority in that space. And so when a realtor is talking to their client now, they probably don't know many other people, or if they do, those people are gonna, they see you once, they might not work with you. They see it twice, they see it, but after they see you 6 or 7 times,
you are the guy.
They're just like, oh, okay, let me give you a crack at it. You know what I mean? And then that's when you start to see the compounding effect of being known as that dude in that industry or that gal in that industry that serves that space for what you do.
And how often, like, when do you go back, right? Like I hit that. Year. Okay, there you go.
Once a year.
Like, you get back to that office. You go back
once a year. Every real estate area, every area has an association. So you can do events at the association. I would say this person, if I'm like a full-time person and I'm trying to generate leads from real estate agents or mortgage lenders or insurance brokers or whatever it is.
They're all kind of similar model strategy.
Right.
Yeah.
I am basically trying to do at least 2 to 4 a week.
Okay.
Speaking engagements.
Yep.
Right. And then, so do a speaking engagement, and then you're going to be setting some phone time, an hour or two a day, following up with everybody that you met, setting one-on-ones, asking if there's any people that they're working with right now that could potentially use our service that they can get a referral to, right? And then just getting on board. And once you do one, you do a good job and their clients are happy, then anytime that ever comes up, they're going to be, you know, you're their guy. It's kind of like they always have a lender that they recommend, 2 or 3 lenders that they recommend usually. Hey, here's this lender, this lender, this lender, go talk to them. Well, usually they're probably not going to have that many people. They're like, here's my go-to person in pest or solar or this
whatever the
or
thing
meat
might be.
or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Home inspections.
Home inspections. Yeah. So,
that's cool.
Yeah, that's like, oh, see that?
Like literally, you're like, I could do this whole thing on this.
Yeah. We don't got to dive
too. You really could.
Yeah, you know
like,
what I learned this year too, and when why I joined the circle and the P League is because I think a lot of people have been seeing me around at these events. Yeah. And they think I'm just the knife guy. Yep. And they think like, hey, oh yeah, that's the knife guy. He's the Cutco guy. We don't need a knife, or we've heard that thing. And I'm like, over the last decade, I've done so many things that are so valuable for all these companies, and it's time for me to step up and give the value that I owe the industry. Is the way that I look at it.
Giving back.
Yeah, giving back. And so I'm stepping into giving more than just gifts, giving everything I can to up level the industry.
Which is a huge part of what a mastermind group is all about, right? Like if you believe you are going to go and, you know, not give, like, first of all, if you're in a group with Sam, like you're going to no matter what, like you just have to step up and you just love everybody so much that you're like, any way I can help you, I'm going to. But like, it is definitely about what you can give and obviously what you're going to learn and how you're going to expand and things like that. So.
And when somebody gets gifts from me, it's like, that's it. You got me on the team. I'm on your team now, man. Let's make this happen. How can I provide more value? How can I help you get more referrals? How can I, and in all the ways that I can bring value, I'm here to serve.
Yeah,
right?
Not just a way that benefits your company.
Yeah,
like
buying the gifts is what pays me.
Yes,
that's how I earn. You know, I earn income and build my business.
Everything else is just like your experience that you can help and you can.
Yeah, it's like, hey man, I'm gonna give you so much more value than you ever thought I would. You know what I mean? And I think that this year, that's what I'm gonna show. I'm gonna go visit companies, and by this time next year, you're gonna see so many stories of people like, yeah, we had Eric out and we all of a sudden we got 100 referrals in a day, and you're gonna start hearing these stories.
He came out to my office and taught a class on referrals and whatever. Yeah.
So
that's awesome. Honestly, like you have a ton of experience. Like the way that you talk about your business, I'm like, bro, this is like an SOP. This is a blueprint. Like you could franchise this. You have it so dialed in. Like it makes me believe. Have you ever had any obstacles? Have you ever had any failures? Have you ever had any setbacks, right?
Bro.
Yeah?
Bro.
Okay. Because I feel we can learn a ton from those. Like, what's something when you started your business that was like, holy crap, that was a mistake. That one sucked. That one hurt, you know? And you learned from it.
There's times I broke down crying.
Yeah.
Bro, there's one time I was just so committed to making it work, man. The gifting thing. And, you know, I was responsible for all my expenses. This is before, this is like 10 years ago. And I'm literally, I have like $200 in my bank account.
Yep.
And I'm like supposed to sponsor this meeting that costs about $150 to bring breakfast for people.
Yeah, so it's basically all your money.
Yeah, and the mistake was I don't sponsor a meeting unless I'm going to speak.
Okay.
Because what happened was I spent this $150. Now, nobody in this room knew that I was in a situation, but I'm like, okay, this is it. Like, this is all I got. Like, I brought them food.
I have to convert.
I have to make it happen. And I brought them food. They didn't let me get a speaking opportunity. And I felt like they just came down and they said, hey, thanks for the food. And they just kept going. And I didn't sell anything.
Without even knowing what you do and how you can help them.
Yeah, it was just like, I mean, that's the other thing. You want to make sure these agents aren't taking advantage of you. This is like real estate, because that's where I got my start.
Yeah.
And now we have 5,000 real estate clients, thousands of people that order regularly just in the real estate space. But I didn't get anything from it. I didn't get a sale, and I went to my car and I sat there and I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, I got no more money. Like, how am I gonna get gas? How am I gonna sponsor my next event?
Yeah.
And luckily, I was still selling residentially as I was transitioning to working with businesses.
Yep.
And I got a couple of sales. I got a couple $100s in my bank account, and then that was like one of the rock bottoms, and I built up from there. Another time I was growing. I was thinking about selling the company. back in 2017. I was going to sell the company, and I kind of took the pressure, the pedal off the metal with gas. Is like, all right, I'm going to have a little.
I'm making my exit.
I'm going to have a little exit. Yeah, you know, I'm going to get a little payday.
Yeah.
And then the deal fell through. We didn't come to terms. And because I let that pedal off the metal for a month or two.
Yeah. Also, it's like this awakening. You're like, oh, I gotta drive this thing again. Yeah.
Another thing that I learned right around that time, I let off the pedal of the metal, right? And then we were also, now I've got a great process. I got a great fulfillment center. Like, I don't have to do anything on the back end.
Dialed now.
I've got operations team. They run everything. I don't have to do anything operation to fulfill orders, right? They got that. Get the order in. I work on the strategy and work with people, but it wasn't always like that. Right. And there was a time where we were getting 5, 6, 7 complaints a day.
Yeah.
Right.
You were doing it all. You were doing the sales. You were doing the fulfillment. You were like, or you know.
And I was trying to figure out how to make this thing a smooth process and find the right software. And we had to move from software to software, and we're getting all these different complaints. And that was a really challenging time because it's like the software that was managing the orders wasn't working well. And so this is like, what did I learn? Well, so I thought at the moment, just hire more people. We're not getting it done. We're growing too much, right? We just got to throw money and hire people. And so our expenses went up. Our revenue wasn't growing because I had taken that, right? And so before we knew it, it's like, we didn't solve the problem.
We don't have profit. Where did our profit margins go?
Yeah. We didn't solve the problem. We're just throwing money at the problem. And really, it was not like a people problem. It was an efficiency problem and a software problem. And so we were just hiring people going, okay, do this. And it was super manual and we just digged ourselves in a deeper hole. And then I just said, you know what, like that was like another like rock bottom point. I was just taking on debt and debt and debt. And I was taking like literally, at one point it was payroll was going to run on a Friday and it's Wednesday. And, you know,
and you're like, I'm not going to make payroll.
I don't have the money for payroll. And I'm sitting there like, all right, at the beginning, I'm like, I'm going to just sell my way out of it. I got to sell 30 grand today. You know, I got to get some 30 grand in my bank. And some people might say that's a small number, but when you're a small business, this is like years ago, that was like a huge number to me. Like, oh my gosh, like I was like, all right, I'm going to figure this out. Like I'm going to, and then after an hour of making calls, I'm like, this isn't going to do it. I'm not going to solve the problem.
Realizing you're not moving the needle.
And I was getting anxiety and I'm like, cause it's like, how am I going to go to the people that have been working for 2 weeks and go, I don't have the money to pay you. You're not going to be able to pay your bills now because right? And so I called a buddy. I got a payday loan through Cabbage. It was like 25% interest paid back and forth. It was like 100% interest rate. But you know what? I got it, got the money. Next day, made payroll, money gone. And then I had a little bit of a bigger problem now because now I got to pay these people back
less interest
with a ton of interest. And then I got like a private investor to give me, you know, like 50 grand. And then that was gone in a week. And then I just like literally just
that could be a slippery slope. Like, did you feel like your company was going to go under at that time? Like, what?
I never thought we'd actually ever go under, and we didn't. I was like I wasn't thinking. All I thought was I'm going to figure it out.
Interesting.
I was just
such a good mindset.
Yeah, I'm going to figure it out. I was like, okay, this happened, that happened. And it was just like every day, like.
You never sat on the couch
for months, for
just
years.
Like the victim of being like, well, I guess this is the end. Like,
I was willing to do whatever. I was willing to do whatever. So that was gone, and then I got more, and then you know, and then I just said and then I just really put the pedal to the metal, and I started selling and just crushing it with sales and generating more revenue, and I was like so far into debt that I was just like, but I was like, I know that I can do it. I know I can get out of it, and I saw a little tunnel at the end of the hall or whatever. I just looked at like a 12 to 18 month path, and I was like, if I just put my nose down to the grindstone and just go and just like work on this and get, you know, coaching on it and ask people about it and get resourceful and you know, find a way. And then we started paying off debt. Boom, debt, right? And then so what happened is I was paying off debt. You know, at this point, like, you know, we weren't doing a whole lot, but we were. You know, I was paying off, you know, a good bit of debt every single month. And to the point where it was just like, oh man, like we're crushing this debt every month, you know? $20, $30, $40,000 just in loan repayments.
Just getting this off.
You know, just in loan repayments, plus running the business, plus right? And so, you know, and I know for some companies, they're like, oh, we spend that in an hour, you know, like,
Yeah,
but this is, we're a small, we're a really
massive.
small company, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, like for me at that time, that was like massive, but then I made my last payment and guess what happened to all that debt repayment? Gone. So guess where that goes?
Now
So like this, I went
all of a
from
sudden profit.
straight to the bottom line now,
Yep.
straight to the bottom line now. I started
Yep.
stacking more cash and then.
And you got used to operating lean during that time. Like you're not
Yes.
taking on any more expenses.
Oh my
Like
gosh.
I guarantee during that time, when the times are the toughest, it's the times I see the most innovation in companies, right? Like they have to get scrappy. What can we do without? Where do we have waste? You know, and that necessity to survive even like is sometimes the best exercise a company can go through for its future.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, you know, we got out of it and then, so I spent 18 months doing that and then COVID happened. Right. And so I'm in person speaking at events.
Yeah.
What happened to events during that time? Gone.
I bet those real estate agents stopped even having their meetings.
No, so
in
what
person,
happened
or
was
how
we
did
went
that work?
virtual.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So actually,
What?
I was one
Were
of those.
you able to pivot with them virtual?
Yes, I was one of those.
Okay.
I was one of those that actually. So now all my travel costs. So initially I had like 30 events
Well,
lined
now
up.
you're not giving them breakfast like either because like
No,
there is
yeah,
no
exactly.
central meeting where breakfast is provided.
So yeah, exactly. So I had
your
like,
costs go down.
Yeah.
I love this.
and it was right in the season where I was going to start doing like my events were going to ramp up and I
Yeah.
had like 30, 40 events in a 30-day period. I was going to be doing like 2 a day,
Wow.
like 8 a week, right?
Jeez.
And I was having a ton and then all of a sudden overnight they're all gone. And I felt like life just said, time for round 2, Eric.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah.
just got out of it and all of a sudden this happened.
Yep.
And then sure enough, within 2 weeks, that industry, this is before door to door,
Yeah.
before I worked with anybody door to door.
Yep.
And I know that probably affected door to door as well, but
Yeah, for sure.
that industry went back online. And so now, instead of having to drive an hour or two to a meeting, speak, you know, and then drive 2 hours and then buying all the travel and the food and the event costs and all this, now I'm sitting here doing 2 or 3 a day from home with very minimal cost.
Your productivity goes way up.
I also let go of somebody and found that this guy I was paying a 40-hour a week salary to, I replaced him with 2 hours of work. I was like, this guy was
guy's
hurting our
lazy,
culture.
yeah.
When he left, I found that he was a neg ball.
Yeah.
He was negging everybody out. When I wasn't around, he was not good for culture.
Yep.
When I got rid of him, within 2 hours, I was like, man, what was I paying this guy for? You know what I mean? Like, what
Once
the heck?
you start doing
Yeah.
it, you're like, dude, this guy. Yeah.
Everything was better. People's morale went up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, man, that was great. So actually, I was one of those few businesses that really benefited from COVID.
That's interesting.
And then we just did the virtual thing. And then, you know, events started coming back online. And
Yeah. See, I feel like that's such a good takeaway even from this, you know, chat is like these things that appear to be negatives, right? Like your company hitting that rock bottom, needing to take on that debt, COVID, like really in reality, both of those things, like not that it was easy, like you had to solve a lot of problems during that time, but you were better off because of it. Like the outcome was a net positive from it.
Yeah.
Which is such a cool thing. Like we oftentimes in business and in life, you know, like we look at these hardships and we're like, no, dude, I want easy. I want easy. Like our natural inclination is to want easy. When in reality, like we need the hard and we need to get through it. And you have to have the grit like you talked about. Like you didn't just sit there and sit on a couch and strategize and think like, okay, I gotta strategy my way out of this.
Yeah.
Like you're like, no, I freaking had to go sell. And I just put my nose down and just got to it. You know, like there was massive action. One of my early mentors back in the day, like he told me like, Nate, massive action cures all, right? Like, and just that has always stuck with me and I find it now in everything. Anyone who's successful, you'll see like the action behind it. People love to like get stuck sometimes on that personal development side because that's easy. Like I can read books all day. I'm never actually adding to my revenue, right? If I'm just doing that. But the action part of it that you're talking about, like you solved the problem. You started doing 2, 3, 4 Zoom calls a day and doing these meetings, right? Like that's massive action. And that's a part that I just want to make sure gets highlighted here. Like you did the hustle, like, and you had to, and for you, you're like, well, yeah, bro, like what else was I going to do? But like, that
I wasn't
going
to fail. I'll tell you that. Fail was not an option.
Yeah. You're not going to ever give up. Like, like you're going to find the solution. You're going to keep going. And I feel like that's a key to success. Any other like keys to success that like you would say, You know, if you have the chance to mentor any of the younger generation that's like kind of following your footsteps or in any industry, like what are other keys?
Yeah, so just remember, this is something I learned from Tony Robbins a long time ago. It's not about how many resources you have, it's about how resourceful you are.
Interesting.
Okay. And so a lot of people, when they're gonna go do something, they'll make an excuse for themselves saying like, oh, well, I don't have that. If I had this,
the funds,
I don't have the training,
the connections,
the funds, the fill in the blank. You know, there's a million of them.
Yep.
Right? Instead, I mean, think about it. We're 2025. Like, we got AI now. We got Google. We got,
you know, like, it blows my mind.
Like, if you can't learn something or find a way to solve a problem or be resourceful enough to reach out to somebody that can help you solve the problem, right? So it's not about the resources; it's about being resourceful.
I like that.
You know, and so and just figuring it out. And if you're resourceful, you could find ways to get through the challenges, right? And another thing a mentor said, and this is actually one of those small things that kind of stood with me through these hard times. He said, it's Hal Elrod. He wrote The Miracle Morning. He was giving a talk to Cutco. This is like my first summer.
Okay.
And you know, because as sales reps, we go through seasons. It's not always just up.
Okay.
Right? You know, even great sales reps have a down week, have a down month, maybe.
Yeah, I'd like to meet the guy that doesn't.
Right,
you know,
exactly. We all go through these lulls. And he said, just make it through the hard times and there'll be better days. Right? The hard times don't last forever.
Yeah.
Right? The hard times don't last forever. And also, like we've all, like, you know, most people have heard, like, the growth is in the struggle. It's in the process. Right? Yep. And that's like, and then finding like the joy in the journey. And so now when I go through challenges or something that I perceive as bad happens, I don't even like at
like
this
it doesn't
point,
even seem bad. Like that mindset of it, like being the negative.
Well,
right?
you don't know what's good or bad.
Yeah.
You don't know what's good or bad.
Why do we always have to label things like good or bad?
No,
you know what I mean?
It's just what is.
Yes.
We apply the label good or bad.
Yep.
Right? It's not good or bad. It's just what we, the meaning that we give it. And also, like, things that you might think are bad for you today. I was talking to this guy, Scott. He won a Golden Door, really cool guy. You know, for example, he was going through the situation where, you know, he was a police officer. He got hurt. He fell out of a tree cutting down, sawing down stuff, and he broke, like, his hip.
Is that Golden Door and Solar? Is this
Solar,
Scott McCallister or something? I think.
I just met him the other night at the VIP dinner,
cool
and he was telling me,
he's a hustler,
you know,
man.
He's super cool dude too, like really down to earth, super cool guy. But he was telling me, like, at that time, you know, he's like basically can't walk, he's losing his job, he's getting all these bills. In the moment, you're like, this sucks. This is the worst thing that could have happened to me. But actually, looking back now, 6 years later, it was the best thing that ever happened to him because it changed his life. He would have never gotten to Solar. He probably would have still been a police officer today, right? And he wouldn't have had all this opportunity that he has now. And so, you know, that's happened to me so many times where in the moment, I'm labeling something as like, oh, I'm in a victim mentality, right? Oh, why me? Why does this have to happen? I just, you know, my expectation, my reality is not meeting up to my expectations, and I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting angry, and I'm asking why me? When really the universe is just going, you don't have to understand it, buddy.
Like
I'm doing this for your
bro.
benefit. Everything happens for a reason.
It happens.
Everything happens in perfect time.
For you, not to you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Everything happens for you, not to you. And so if you can hold that perspective of like, what am I supposed to learn in this situation, right? What am I supposed to get from this, right? You know, and what I learned from that rock bottom situation was, oh, I need to manage my finances better. You know, had I managed my finances better, maybe I wouldn't have been in that situation. That was the universe going, I'm going to slap you in the face with this problem that you're going to hate, but you're going to thank me for later because it's going to build you into a better person, and you're going to be capable of more, to serve more and give more later. And you're going to learn that business is not just about sales, it's about finance, and it's about managing things and being responsible, managing cash flow.
Huge.
And so that was a painful way to learn those lessons. But man, I am such a much better business owner and leader because of going through those situations.
100%.
You know, I wouldn't be who I am without it. You know what I mean? My mom had gotten cancer. Remember I mentioned when she was living in homelessness, she had cancer. And seeing her in that was a driver for me to be like, oh my gosh, like I gotta help my mom. I gotta do more for my mom. Now she beat cancer. Right?
That's amazing.
I remember being 6 years old before I even knew what anything was, and I saw my mom crying in our laundry room, and I didn't know much. I knew the problem was money. And I was just like, don't worry, Mom. One day I'm gonna make enough money to buy you a house, and you're not gonna have to worry about anything. 2 years ago, I bought my mom a house. I said, don't worry, Mom. Anything you need, you let me know. Here's your place. She was, you know.
So amazing.
And so it's just like through those things that we label as bad could be a blessing.
Yeah.
You know, and so
not only could be, but like will be if you have
can
the
find the
right
gold in it.
mindset, right?
Yeah.
Like, exactly. Like don't let it be the thing that destroys you. Like there is a lesson in it. Find it.
Yeah.
Apply it.
Absolutely.
Get through it. Yeah.
And the real challenge is being present to it in the moment of the struggle, right?
Yeah.
That's the challenge. Because it's easy to sit here on a podcast
I know,
and be
like especially past the problems and stuff. But like, when you're in it, you're just like, F these guys. Like they have no clue what I'm going through in my business, right? But we do. We've been there. I've had companies fail. I've done, like we have been in the shoes that, where any of you listening are, not the exact same scenario. It is hard. It is hard for everybody. And it needs to be hard. And like, the obstacle is the way.
Everything
that's
that
where the
happens
growth
for me
happens.
is meant for me. And if you can hold on to that belief that, hey, this is somehow meant for me, God has meant this for me, then you can now orient towards the issue from a different perspective, from a different vantage point. And you can shift from a victim mentality of why, I hate this, why me, versus like, okay, like this is meant for me for some reason, whether I realize it now or not. Maybe you're not meant to know why now. Maybe you need time to pass, and as you reflect, you go, had that never happened, man, this would have never happened. And
this
that
person, this connection.
Exactly.
Dude, some of those have taken like years in my life to look back and see and like then feel that gratitude for. Like there'd been somewhere, and usually I'm pretty quick at finding like the why behind it and like being able to be grateful for it. And there've definitely been those that have been like, no, I have no freaking clue why that one happened. That was just shitty. But then like years later, we're talking 8 years later, I'm like, that's why. Like I learned this during that time. I learned this. And it's just such a cool aha moment. So even if you don't see it and it's been a while, like sit on it still. Let it keep going. Let it keep marinating. There is a reason, and it does happen. And having that faith, like literally, it's the same thing. Believing that it happens for you or that you're a victim and it happens to you, like they both require that same faith. Like why not have that better mindset of like, this happens for me, this will bring good to me. Like it's the same thing. Shift that mindset to that. And interviewing in this podcast and being able to do a few of these, that is a very common thread that I've seen throughout talking to successful people, is this mindset of like, it all happens for a reason. We gotta weather it. We gotta get through it. It just is. Don't label it as bad. Like these are all common things, and I love that. Like take that, adapt it. Yeah.
And another thing I'd give to anybody is especially people that are new starting out, it's like find the master, follow the model.
Okay.
You don't got to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay. People have come before you and figured it out.
Yeah.
Now there is another thing to be said about innovation.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
But for the most part, like, find the master, follow the model. Who is doing it at the highest level, right? And that's why I joined the mastermind. That's why, that's why, you seek out people that can help take your learning curve and, you know what I mean? What takes me 5 years on my own, I can do in a year or less, because I went from this guy that I learned from his 10 years of experience that he's giving me to in a quarter.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so now I'm going to move much faster than he ever did, because he had to figure it out.
Yeah.
Right. And if we just continue
he paved the way now.
He paved the way, right?
Like
so
now instead of chopping my way through a jungle, I'm following a paved highway.
Yep.
You can move a lot faster.
Yeah. That's how I try to tell people in gifting, it's like, hey, listen, like I would never go with you on a roofing job and tell you how to do the roof. Right.
Trust me.
I think it's funny when people try to tell me how to do like the gifting.
Eric,
and I'm like,
I think I really need to gift coffee. It's
bro. I had a guy come up to me the other day. He was like, we got this thing and we do this and we do this, and our referral program is second to none. And I was like, okay, so
like you basically, don't need me, bro.
basically, what you're saying is there's no room for improvement.
Yeah, right. Such a closed mindset.
Yeah. So basically, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate it? It's a 10. Okay, so there's no room for improvement. Cool. Hey man, great job, dude. You figured it out.
Meeting you. You don't need crushing.
Me. You don't need me. I don't need to work with people like that. I'm a collaborative person. Like, if you're closed-minded and you're not collaborative, then we don't need to engage really. Yep. And for him, I was like, hey, great. He seemed happy with what he got. Cool. Who's the person that does need me? Because this guy clearly doesn't need me or doesn't want to be open enough to learn.
He definitely will never doesn't recognize today that he could benefit from what you can offer.
Yeah,
But,
and hey, maybe I don't have any value to give him. I don't know. We didn't get into it.
yeah, because they couldn't even get there because he was too close-minded.
Yeah,
that's
well, he's happy
interesting.
with whatever he's doing, so good for him, you know.
Yeah,
But,
we wish him the best.
Be teachable, you
Open
know.
your mind. Yeah,
learn,
exactly.
you know. You got to grow, right? So
That's what's cool about like the mastermind groups and things like that. It's like I realized that I was thinking too small, right? Like you surround yourself, you start having a few conversations with people like Sam Taggart, right? And you're just like, oh, okay, yeah, no, we're talking on a whole nother level. Like you are dreaming, you know, like 10 figures and I'm still thinking 7, you know, like it's like, okay, wow, bro, I love this, you know,
which is phenomenal, you know.
Yeah.
And there's
Just
somebody that
opens your
probably
eyes.
Sam is talking to that's doing
Right?
8 or 9 figures,
right?
9
just
figures,
more and more,
you know,
and more.
who, you know, so
That's the huge value.
Yeah. Getting around people, you know, I always think the moment that you think like you're it,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
You know, it's like the old saying, the master is always a student,
Yeah.
right?
So
As
true.
soon as you think that that you're the best and there's nothing more for you, there will be no more for you.
You're damned at that point.
Yeah, you know.
It's interesting. Yeah, like when I hear somebody say, like, even the word like I know, you know, like if somebody's like I know this is the way or whatever, you're just like you could be right, you really could, but even just by adopting that mentality that you know and you are so sure, you've closed your mind to any other possibilities and any other opportunities. Right?
Well, I think somebody can still know that, hey, this is the way.
Yeah.
Like, this is how I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But still be open to feedback from the world,
yeah.
because that's all it is. Our brains are just a feedback, mechanism that we're just literally experiencing.
That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're getting feedback in. So like I know, for example, the way that I'm going this year to hit my goals.
Yeah.
Right. But as I'm going through, I can adapt. I can get another idea and go, oh, you know, I'm still open-minded to new ways.
Yeah.
Right. And I say this is the way, but then I can see, oh wait, actually, this was the way 3 months ago. Right. And I'm still on that path and I'm still going to stick to that plan, but maybe I'm going to like optimize over here. I learned this new thing.
Yeah.
So with new data, new information, you go back and you can, you know, recalibrate your plan.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
There you go.
As long as you're open.
As long as you're open to new data, exactly. And you get that and you're not closing that feedback loop. So that actually does bring up, and I'll have this be the last question. We'll get wrapped up. I know you've got a flight you've got to catch. But 2025, what are we going to see from your company 2025? What are your goals? What's going to happen this year for you guys?
You know, I just want to bring a ton of value to the door-to-door industry.
Yeah.
And I want to help people really understand how to build a culture and a community within their clients to be advocates in the community when they're around. I like right now, I would say that a lot of people in these industries, in these door-to-door spaces, like, hey, does my client know my name? Does my customer know my name a year from now? Do they know who I am? Do they remember who I am? Do they know my company's name? Yeah. Right. And so I want to help people build stronger relationships, and not just with their clients, but with their employees, with their salespeople, with their staff. You know, and there's a bunch of different ways that you can do it. Some of it's gifting, some of it might be others. Sure. Right. But I want to step into the value that I know I can bring.
I love that.
And by the end of the year, you know, I can see right now, like how many people talk about the referral thing, right? Or the gifting thing. Yeah. You know, I want to start to set a standard for like, hey, this is the way that we get referrals in door to door. Yeah. Right. This is the way that we gift in door to door. Yeah. Right. Because there really isn't anybody filling that space right now. Right. Well, there's people that do it, and there's people that do get referrals, and I'm not knocking anybody, but I'm talking taking it up a notch or two. I want to be the person that steps into the industry, and by the end of the year, it's like, you know, there's a bunch of businesses now that have, like, we've actually done it, and we're looking back going, wow, and then after success, it's kind of like, why do people door knock? Because it works, right? Why do people do this a certain way? Well, over the next decade, right? Like, working on this every year, the standard for door to door is to have a relationship with their client, and is to be known and change that perspective of like, hey, you know, the one and done rep, right? You know, how do we get for us? Like, it's like, what if in 10 years it's like, oh, you guys aren't getting like 3 or 4 referrals per appointment.
Yeah.
Right now, it's like you get 3 or 4 referrals per appointment.
Referrals? What?
You get referrals,
Yeah,
let
like
alone
people
3 or
are-
4 or 5 or
yeah.
10 referrals per appointment.
Dude, that
in 10 years,
becomes
imagine if it's like,
exponential.
oh, this is just what we do.
Mm-hmm. It becomes the standard.
Like, you know, think about every time there's an innovation, every time there's like something new that comes out, like the industry evolves, the industry adapts, and the industry changes for the better. And so I think that I can really bring a large value to the industry with the full gamut of things that I could bring, like from the real estate thing to the gifting thing to the getting referrals and really make an impact.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
Eric, it's been a pleasure. I can't wait to see you at some of these events that we're going to have and continue to hear where you're at and how this has become now the standard instead of it just being like a few reps or a few companies out there that have like really caught on and taken the gift giving thing to the next level. So
Awesome.
Thanks for taking the time and coming by.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Get home safely.
Thank you.
Thanks.